February 12th, 2013, approximately 8:50 Eastern Standard Time. Larry and Gregg Show. Here we go. Take it, Larry.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Larry and Gregg Sports Show. Here we go, Week 14, Greg. Tons of stuff going on. We're going to touch a little on everything. You know, we've been really getting into the college basketball and NBA. A lot of stuff going on in college basketball. We told you folks, we sit and we watch a lot of sports together. While we're talking to you, we always got the TV on. Right now, number 7, Florida's playing number 25, Kentucky. Big SEC matchup. Kentucky's always been a powerhouse in the SEC and in college basketball with John Calipari, for that matter, as their coach. Right now, with 5 minutes left in the second half, Florida's winning 61-45. And I'll tell you, Kentucky's just one turnover, Greg, after another. It's killing them.
They may be, but they don't have a lot of SEC losses, and they are a team that a lot of people are not going to want to play when it comes tournament time, which is right around the corner.
Well, you talk about tournament time, though, Greg. You'd almost think we're in tournament time right now with the play that's going on.
The way they're playing, no one can trust the top 10 team to even hold their spot, much less not get beat. It's really tough. Miami's doing something. You look at Duke, you look at Indiana. Gonzaga just is creeping up there right now.
Did you say Miami's doing something?
Exactly.
They're the only. Let me run this by you real quick.
The U in basketball?
They're 10-0 right now in the ACC. They are the only undefeated team in major conference college basketball right now. They're the only one. All I'm going to say is watch out for them boys. They're coming, and them seniors have bought into that coach, that new coach they got. They bought into his system, and they're playing. This thing with beating Duke the other day, slapping the floor.
They are giving it to North Carolina. They're giving it to Boston College. They're giving it to Duke. I mean, they are going out there and they are annihilating teams by 20 or more.
And they look good doing it. Anyways, we're going to get into some college basketball in a little bit, folks. But like I said earlier, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Hey, Greg, I think let's get into the NFL a little bit. A little bit of news. We got to discuss some things. Couple big topics right now. Let's talk about Michael Vick getting his 1-year, $10 million contract, staying with Philadelphia. New coach Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly comes in. He introduces the offense they want to run. Mike Vick feels he must feel pretty good about fitting in it. He says he's going to rush for 1,000 yards next year.
Look,
how the hell is he going to do that?
I'll tell you this. You know, when I first thought about Michael Vick and this year and what Philly was going to do with him, I thought that it might have been a good idea to deal him. Get rid of all the old bad stuff. You know, keep LaShawn McCoy. Keep some of the other speed guys. But with Chip Kelly coming in, you didn't really know how Michael Vick was going to fit. Obviously, they sat down, they thought about it. And Chip Kelly says he still has the skill set to do what he needs to get done. And let's understand, everybody thinks that with Chip Kelly coming down to Philly, everybody thinks that they're going to bring in that, 82, 83, 84 offensive plays a game offense. And they're not necessarily going to do that. When he interviewed, his job and what he told them was, this is my program. And then based on the players that we get, I'm good enough to fit a system around them. Yes, I had a system. Yes, I recruited for it. But we got players here right now where we can take advantages of the system that I had, but don't expect that to be their total offense. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, he hasn't coached a down. He hasn't played a play in the NFL. Yep. He's totally new, maybe a risk hire. But, I mean, you have people like Belichick going over to him and seeing what he's doing. They increase their play frequency. So, can he get the job done? I'm waiting to see. Keep Michael Vick. I think you need that bridge for right now, and that's why. And, also understand, it's not, because you're playing this year, we're giving you $10 million. No. There are a lot of incentives in that, so he could end up making $10 million based on how it's structured. And that also shows his commitment to the Philadelphia Eagles, because he very well could have left. They're courting Dennis Dixon, the old Oregon quarterback. But the only other guy you have is Foles. He's helped bridging the gap, and he knows he's a lame duck.
Only $3 million's coming off the cap,
right?
So it wasn't a big expense for Philly. 2, I mean, this year's kind of a learning curve. New coach coming in, get the team together, understand what we're going to do, and they're not going in looking to win a Super Bowl this year. They just want to improve on last year, move forward, and start building from there. So this is going to be Vic's time to show if he can do another year or not. But I'm going to tell you right now, he's talking about 1,000 yards. Let's just be realistic. Let's start with the over-under on will he make it 5 games without getting hurt.
No.
Michael Vick, his biggest problem is, Michael Vick's biggest problem his entire career, putting himself in unhealthy, for his body, bad positions, not throwing the ball away. He's a one-look, one-read quarterback. He always has been. He always will be. You cannot coach that out of him. He looks, not there, he runs.
At the end of 2011, he was like that? Because I saw him make he played
a little
great.
better. He played a little better.
He played great.
Okay. He was protected better. Let's start with that. He wasn't protected very well last year. The offensive line was hurt. A lot of it. A lot of the team was hurt. But listen, when Michael Vick when he gets pressured a little, he's one look and run. And when you put everybody else on the team in that position and yourself, you don't throw the ball away in bad situations, and then you try to force things and you throw interceptions. He threw 32 interceptions in 36 games.
Look, he's had over 40 turnovers in the last 3 years. I get it. 42 to be exact, I believe. But look at this. If you look at the way the pistol offense, the pistol formation is run and the read option plays are run, and understand they're not offenses. They're plays and sets. People don't get hit because they're making the decision in the backfield. And don't get me wrong, I understand defenses are going to try to touch them, but if they are trying to run this type of offense, a Kaepernick offense, what RG3 was running, what Russell Wilson was running to an extent, although with him they extended the playbook a little bit as he got a little bit more seasoned, he's not getting hit. Kaepernick did get hit. The most sacks that he had in 3 weeks is what he had in the Super Bowl when Jesus and Ray Lewis beat them. Yep.
Well, last year, teams were a little confused by the pistol offense, I think. A little confused by Kaepernick and RG3 for that matter. They're gonna learn to stop it. They're gonna watch film on it, and they're gonna be better this year, which is gonna make it a little harder on Vick. 2, Michael Vick is injury prone. 3, his feet aren't as quick as they used to be.
That's for the most.
I'm telling you right now, I don't think he gets through the year. So Nick Foles, stay warmed up.
Let me ask you this: if you're looking at the NFC East and you're looking at all the quarterbacks, where do you put Vick?
Well, here's the thing. I was just going to say that it wasn't a bad move on Philadelphia's part.
They're bridging the gap
because there's nothing coming in the draft really.
Nope.
Well, let me rephrase. I don't want to say nothing bad about kids coming out. There's nothing that fits that offense real well, and there's nothing in free agency that fits that offense right now. Because I'll tell you what, if Michael Vick...
Kelly needs a quarterback that has been there.
If Michael Vick was cut by the Eagles, he had one last stop. It's where all quarterbacks go to die, and that's Oakland. There's nothing left. There's nobody else want him. There's no program, no system he fits in right now where he could be a starter.
The old man's done passed now, so I don't know if that's the destination spot. But you can't tell me that you think only one team would be interested in Michael Vick.
Where else would he go to start?
I'm just asking.
Arizona might be dumb enough to take him. They're used to going through quarterback after quarterback.
And Fitzgerald, based on what they have, the Jets.
The thing is, it only cost them $3 million to see if it works, and then they'll move on from there.
Kansas City?
I don't think. Why would they take him? Get him for what Philly paid for him.
What do they got? Why would they take him?
Them are teams that need to go out and find a young quarterback and start building.
Which is not going to happen.
Well, they need to look. They need to look.
I'm not saying they're not going to look. I'm just saying, Pastor Marcus Russell and Alex Smith.
Oh, where's he going to go? He's trying to come back. Where's he going to go and just play second string? I take Tim Tebow. Oh, I can't believe I said that. I take Tim Tebow over DeMarcus Russell right now in a heartbeat.
Right, but
DeMarcus Russell, as big as he was, how did he fall down so easily? Clumsy?
Clumsy, lack of effort, no passion. But let's go.
All right, let's move on to Joe Flacco for a minute. Ozzie Newsome still hasn't signed him, hasn't put a deal on the table. I'm not faulting him for this. But I will say this. They need to sign Flacco. Here's why.
Please tell me, because I'm anxious to hear why you think they need to spend a whole bunch of money on Joe Flacco.
First of all, he's taken you to playoffs in the last 5 years, and he won you a Super Bowl.
Your defense did that. Go ahead.
You can say what you want.
I
Joe Flacco ran the offense and got you there. Two.
So Trent Dilfer, go ahead.
Two. Their big decision right now is with those players they'll have to cut if they give it. Well, if they give Flacco what he wants. Two of the players, we're talking about Ed Reed and Anquan Bolden. Both of them only got about a year left anyway.
They got to get the Suggs deal done. I mean, they got to get Kruger done.
Okay, fine. Them two you can get done. But Anquan Bolden and Reed, they only got a year left each. Let them go. They're great players. Let them go.
Did you watch the playoffs? Did you see Anquan Bolden from Florida State?
Did you
watch?
You're not listening to
I'm not listening to
you. He has 1 year left.
And you don't... Okay, let me ask you this. Present roster right now, do they even make the AFC championship next year?
I don't know.
Right, and that's
so if you keep Bolden, you go, we'll make the AFC.
No, what I'm telling you is, if you don't know, then how can I give you Drew Brees money?
So you're telling me keep Bolden and keep Reed and let Flacco go? Go get somebody else?
I'm not saying get rid of Flacco. I mean, you have options. You can franchise him, which is going to make him 16 to 18 million, depending on where they settle on. And then after that, then you can sign him again. Now, don't get me wrong. Right now, he's unsigned.
Don't do the kid wrong. He just won you a Super Bowl. Don't make him be a franchise player.
Did you see? Okay, did you see what they did?
Give him the big deal and move on.
Let me ask you this: who's more important to their team, Drew Brees or Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco. Right?
And what? No.
What? He's
in the past 5 years, who's more important?
You just asked me right now. You said right now, who's more important to their team? Joe Flacco's more important to the Baltimore Ravens than Drew Brees is to his team right now.
Let me rephrase the question. Over the past 5 years, collectively, who has been more important to their team? Right. And what happened when he had a free agent? When he went free agent,
he got paid.
He got paid, but they screwed him around for a while.
Yep. They
really did. And when they couldn't afford to do that, if they can do that to Drew Brees. I'm telling you, look.
Flacco. And I understand what Newsom's doing. I like that he's looking for his best option on how to handle this situation. He's probably thinking, I want to keep everybody. Make one more run. And let these guys retire Ravens and be done with it. But there's really not a way. The only way he can do it is go to Flacco and say, take less money. Ain't happening.
No,
go to Bolden. Go to Reed. Okay, restructure his contract.
But that just means that the owner, Biscotti, has got to give more money up front, more guaranteed. It's not, I think what's going to happen is he's going to get like $96 million over 5 years with $55 million guaranteed. It's going to be something like that where he gets coin, definitely, but he also is in a position where, the fifth year is an option where he can opt out, and they're going to pay him up front so that it doesn't count against the cap. Because you have to understand, right now it's a flat cap. Like, you can't go, it's not like the NBA where you can go over and you pay luxury. No, you can't do it. So we're getting into a system where we have NFL, you have the Joe Flaccos, you have the Anquan Boldens who, is making about $6 million, but he's going to become a casualty, just like Chris Canty and Ahmad Bradshaw for New York Giants. The middle class of the NFL, if you will, is going to be gone with this flat cap, and you're soon going to get to a spot where you're going to have literally no free agency. You're going to have people that are available, but the teams are going to control how player movement is. Players are not. O.C. Umenor, you know what? He's trying to get it right now because he knows this is the last time based on the collective bargaining agreement, which I think from the NFL standpoint, for the NFL Players Association standpoint, they made a couple of big gaffes. One, Goodell getting all the money, and two, agreeing to how this is actually going to work out when you're talking about free agency. They're going to get screwed from the player standpoint.
Right.
There's going to be no middle class. You're going to have guys that can barely play. That's I almost think that's a conspiracy theory on how they're getting rid of the running back. What's a running back anymore? The last running back of any merit was maybe a Curtis Martin, maybe a LaDainian Tomlinson, where Marshall Faulk, where they were multi-talent, Terrell Davis, where they were doing multiple things, but that's gone.
Yep.
They don't want that. You get the high-paid wide receiver, the quarterback, your covers, and then two linebackers and your left tackle, and then hope everything else works out.
Right, absolutely. So right now, in my opinion, you sign Flacco. You sign him. You get the deal done and you sign him. Now, outside of what we know, Flacco probably already knows he's being signed. He's probably got some kind of mock deal thrown in front of him. They're just trying to work everything out. He doesn't want to go nowhere. Bolden says if they trade him, he's retiring if they don't want to keep him, if they're going to cut him. Reed is already talking with New England, so we hear.
It's $20 million. Joe Flacco's looking for $20 million. Is $20 million in 2013 really $16 million 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
if he's a $16 million quarterback, which I believe is what he's getting paid, I mean, it makes sense because you're not. I mean, think about the contract Aaron Rodgers is going to sign.
Yeah.
After this, he's the next big quarterback for free agents,
and he wants to stay in Green Bay. He said it. So look, now talking about a running back. Let me bring it up. Falcons are considering trading Turner. Michael Turner, their running back. They got to release some space in their salary cap next year. They have Rodgers already in place. Younger legs, running well. Good trade. Turner didn't do a ton this year. He was steady.
If you get another serviceable, 1-2 punch for your running back with the two being Rodgers and get somebody else because Turner's getting old. And I'm not saying he can't play, but they don't want to pay him. Well, it's not that it costs too much, but they got their wide receivers down. Yeah. They got their quarterback down.
They're a pass first team.
Yeah,
absolutely. So as a running back, you're second, you're third.
If you run it like Andy Reid, where you're throwing 70% of the time, which is close to what they're doing. I think they're like 64%, something like that. I mean that's a no-brainer.
Well, the last thing I got in the NFL tonight, Greg, I want to talk about. The NFL was proposed another idea for player safety. I don't know how I feel about the idea yet. I haven't grasped it one way or the other. They're talking about making the field wider, like the Canadian Football League field. Reason being, what it's going to change is you're going to have to go to smaller, faster defensive backs, which will lessen the power impact, which will make more one-on-one situations so these receivers aren't getting killed. And two, one thing you're going to definitely see if they go that direction is 45-38 type games. You're going to see a lot of scoring. Your running backs are going to have more space outside to run. You're going to probably see what you just said about running backs. They're really going to become obsolete then.
How much more? And I love America and I love American sports, but damn it, they are taking the defense out of all the games so they can run up the score so it looks better for everybody.
Yep.
They did it in basketball. You saw what happened with the steroid era in baseball. They're doing it now in football, and I just, it's becoming harder and harder to be, where the defense even matters.
Right.
And I'm sick of it.
Absolutely.
I really am. Now I understand. If it improves people's health and it saves the players, absolutely great. I agree. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I can't agree with it if it's better for all. But I'm telling you what,
but one thing it's going to do is it's going to cost these owners some money because there's a lot of stadiums that can't house that right now. So they're going to be kicking back first, second, and third rows, backing up these stadium walls to make room for the players to widen the field. So it's going to cost everybody some money, but
look, each team in the NFL gets paid nearly $100 million per year by the TV contracts. We're not even talking concessions, jersey sales, or anything like that. So the poor me story,
they can afford
just like the Washington Redskins and their field when they hosted that playoff game. Atrocious. Spend the money. I don't care what you have to do.
Yep.
Cut into your
profits.
profits.
They're going to spend the money on that field this offseason. You can count on that.
Damn well better.
You can count on that. A lot of controversy going on right now about the Super Bowl being at MetLife Stadium this upcoming year. I've heard it so many different ways. One of the biggest complaints is the Super Bowl shouldn't be played in an outdoor stadium in February. They already put a clause in the contract that if the weather's really bad, they can put it off a day or two, one way or the other.
Or a week.
Yeah, but So now they're saying if you don't have a dome because of certain teams coming in, teams coming from the West Coast, this and that, going to be having their hands in their pouch and this and that, it's going to lessen the excitement of the game. To me, that's a crap statement.
No, here's what needs to happen. What needs to happen is they need to not have it, and don't get me wrong, I think it's great for everybody but the players in New York, but it gives that team an advantage. If you're playing a New England from the AFC, a Pittsburgh, a Baltimore, and you're in Arizona or San Diego, they have a distinct advantage. The whole point of putting it somewhere nice is to have a neutral field with a neutral environment in a neutral stadium where we're putting the best against their best in a situation where they're not dealing with anything else but the game. And don't get me wrong, I understand football's a man's game and it belongs in the elements and all that other stuff, but that's not what the Super Bowl's about.
No, the Super Bowl's about revenue.
It's about big revenue. It's about playing on a neutral field in a neutral situation so we can find out, damn it, who's the best.
Absolutely. I agree with that, but you know what? Play it wherever it's meant to be played. And
it don't matter. I mean, honestly, to me, it don't matter, but it does not matter.
Before we move on to the NBA, Greg, I gotta gripe a little bit. I'm sickened by something right now. I've seen today, and I've had it. I'm done, and I mean done. I barely like the Summer Olympics as it is. I love the Winter Olympics. There isn't nothing in the Summer Olympics that excites me. Cycling stinks. Darts, badminton.
I like watching darts. I like watching darts.
Well, good. What's the other one? The pentathlon or whatever. I mean, let's think about it. They just took wrestling out of the 2020 Olympics. Let me tell you something about wrestling. One of the oldest sports in the Olympics. 72 countries last time competed in wrestling to get into the Olympics. There's young kids out there, as we're talking right now, busting their butt, running up and down the street to make weight, busting their tails, so they can go to college and wrestle, so they can move on to the Olympics. Because after college and wrestling, there's nothing else.
MMA,
there's no
you gotta learn how to punch.
There's no pro contracts. There's no NFL like the NFL, nothing like that. They get the Olympics, and now it gets yanked out from under them. You know what I want to know? Who are these Olympic Committee idiots? Let me say that again. Olympic Committee idiots.
They take bribes.
They had the pentathlon, badminton, and wrestling.
Right.
They got rid of wrestling over badminton
because TV.
What the heck kind of Olympics? Who come up with that cockamamie idea?
Because TV revenue is down.
So TV revenue goes up with badminton?
Apparently.
Seriously, they got rid of softball. They got rid of baseball.
A lot of guys look, and you're not going to like.
Argue this.
You're not going to like what I'm going to say, but then you'll end up liking what I'm saying. Look,
that made about as much sense.
I'll tell you. Well, it will. Look, a lot of people don't like to watch men in tights roll around, grab each other, and I know that is not what wrestling is, especially the Greco-Roman style wrestling. I know that's not what it is. But from a TV revenue standpoint, they're not going to do it. This was in the inaugural games in 1896, back in Athens. This was like the sport. That's what they did. Now, the shame of everything is that, well, the nice thing that they did is that they said, okay, we're not going to kill it for 2016 because everybody who's preparing right now, but after that, it's done. But the only reason why they're doing it is to kick that out to get another sport in. What it is, I don't know. I think, with you, like I said, you're not going to like the first part. This part you are going to like. I agree with you 1,000%. How can you get rid of wrestling? How can you get rid of the purest form of man-to-man, hand-to-hand combat? Not all that macho, mano. No, just hand-to-hand combat. How can you get rid of that when that was that's part of the first 1896. We're talking about a long time, man. Mm-hmm. How can they get rid of that? I don't know. I think, I can't trust them when it comes down to bribes, where they actually have the Olympics, the summer ones especially. You can't trust them. So the fact that they're doing this is BS and it's garbage.
All they got left in the Summer Olympics stink. They stink. The only thing that people watch is the track and field and the swimming. Now, people used to watch here in America, I'm just saying, and I'm sure other countries did it too, their baseball team, their softball team, you know what I mean? They watch that stuff. You get rid of all that. Now, after track and field and swimming, all you got is, and I do watch a little bit of the beach volleyball, and even though I'm American, I tend to vote for the girls that are hotter. I'm sorry. It's just a man thing. I can't help it. But, I mean, come on. There's nothing else. You know what? We live on numbers and sports and everything like that. I would love to know how many people are watching badminton on TV. I want to know how many men sit at a bar and are watching badminton.
The Orient, man, they eat that. They eat it up, man.
Listen, we're not in the Orient. We're not in the Orient right now.
Right, and the Olympics get showed all over the world. So from the Olympic Committee standpoint, don't
they screwed up. And how
you know what? They didn't screw up. You act like they made a decision where they didn't really know it. No, this is in a vacuum. They know exactly what's going on. They're getting paid to put in another sport. The thumb's on the scale. It's another Olympic Committee gaffe.
I hope it bites you. I hope it buries you.
It won't.
Now, like every event in the Winter Olympics is great. I almost watch every event. I even watch curling, for that matter. I love it.
I don't.
But the thing is, what is wrong with the Summer Olympics? Why have they gone to shambles? There's nothing exciting in it no more. You know, I used to love to watch the U.S. girls softball team. They just couldn't be beat. There was nobody out there to compete them.
Just because Jenny Fish was there, you know. Look, the one here's the thing. Here's what you don't like, and here's what you end up liking. I don't like when they try to make a game bigger than what it is. I really don't. You know, I'm okay with watching, like, for example, Kentucky and Florida. I don't need to know the backgrounds of the kids or anything like that. But that's exactly what the Olympics do. While I don't need that for college basketball, NFL, or NBA, and I think it's all noise, I'm going to watch the game anyway. But it does help someone like you, someone like me, to maybe get into a girls' softball game by knowing about Jenny Finch and, you know, what she did and all this other stuff. I mean, it helps to have storylines, personalities, and I get it, but you can't manufacture TV ratings with that. And don't get me wrong, from the purity of the sport, I get it. Nobody wants to talk about TV ratings, but that's what it is. And it's the
I ain't giving this committee any more of my time. They don't even deserve what little bit of time we gave them already.
They don't.
We didn't put this show together to talk about a bunch of idiots that do what they do. So let's move on to the NBA for a minute. Greg, I got some topics. I got some things going on. We got to talk about tonight LeBron's greatness. Kobe and the Lakers and Dwight Howard, they're done. They're not going to the playoffs. I said it. They're not going. Ding, 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 ding. I wish I had a bell. They're not going to the playoffs. It's over. Dwight Howard's father's writing letters. Tell Kobe to quit picking on my son. Howard wants to go to the Olympics and play. He didn't play. He ain't playing for crap. I don't think he belongs here, but D'Antoni's backing him. D'Antoni the idiot. I said it when he was in New York. Now, talking about the Brooklyn Nets tonight, we got to talk about them too. Joe Johnson's playing great, and Williams ain't earning his contract.
Let me slow you down, Speedy Gonzalez.
Well, I'm just giving up some
I know.
topics.
You're fired up, and I like it.
But let's move on back. Let's go back
to the Lakers.
Let's go to the Lakers. Go ahead.
All right, first, Dwight Howard wanted to play in the All-Star game with all this stuff about he's hurt. He gave an interview with Stephen A. Smith probably about less than a week ago talking about, my legs are still a little bit numb. You can't cry poor me and then want to be in the All-Star game. If you want to go there and you want to sign autographs, you want to be a part of it, you're not in the dunk competition, honorary member, whatever, have your jersey. But in a dire, life and death as the playoffs are for the Lakers right now, because if they don't now, and
you need to heal.
You need to heal, and you need to be good. You need to be better than good. You need to be great, and your back's probably hurting too. So while you're, and everybody thinks that it was a vote of confidence by D'Antoni saying, "Oh yeah, he should be fine in the playoffs again," but he's throwing him under the bus. He's throwing him under the bus because all Dwight Howard's been talking about, and here's the other thing. I hate to keep cutting myself off, but Dwight Howard has only missed, I believe, 8 games. The last time he missed more than that was the end of last year where he had back surgery and he missed 12 games. The previous 7 years, he only missed, on average, 1 game per year. So it's not like we're talking about an habitual guy. So I sort of believe him that he's hurt, but it's tough for me to really wholesale believe him if he's then going to say, "Hey, let me play in the All-Star game," where he could get hurt. And don't get me wrong, we all know that they play a little bit soft, and the only part of it really worth watching is like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. We get that. Everything else you can pick up on SportsCenter on the website or the highlights. But for him to come out and say that, I think that's just absolutely ridiculous. And Kobe's got to be killing himself.
Oh.
That being said,
did you say you want to go after everything going on? Especially when we ended the show last week, Greg, we discussed the fact that the Lakers needed 20 more wins to get, if they're lucky, to the 8th seed.
If they're lucky.
Then they turn around, they've lost, 4 in a row since then. They still have got to play the San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Clippers. They got to play Golden State. They still got to play Memphis. Come on, Greg. Where do you see a win coming from?
They're 4 games. Here's they're 4 games out. They're 7 out of their last 10 for wins. But they're not playing great. They've also been dealing with injuries, and a lot of them. But the unfortunate thing is, no one talks about the injuries.
No.
San Antonio, they just beat Chicago without Ginobili, Parker, and Tim Duncan. I mean, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to build. And don't get me wrong, Kobe's the man, but you know what? You're going to need more than him. And him being the point, Steve Nash being the 2, Metta World Peace filling in where he can. Earl Clark, he's becoming a player. He's not there yet. And in a 70% Dwight Howard, that's not going to cut it against your Spurs, against your Oklahoma City, the Clippers, Memphis. Those are top 4 teams that nobody wants to play. And then you still have Denver and emerging Golden State, Utah, always disciplined, Houston with old boy playing like super good, James Harden. I mean, Harden's putting up career numbers right now.
Yeah. So I mean, we were talking about it. We just said it earlier. I mean, we're talking about games that they got left. I mean, Greg, you're talking about right now. You're talking about. They got, on Thursday, they got the Clippers. Well, today they got Phoenix. Then they got the Clippers. They got Boston, Portland, Dallas, Denver, Minnesota. They could pull 2-3 wins out of that. But then you got OKC, Toronto. You still got Indiana. You still got Phoenix, Golden State. Like, we can go through this all day.
Oh, I just got a text message. It said the Lakers are old.
On old legs, and they're killing Kobe. But here's the thing. We said last week when we got off the air, they needed 20 wins. I don't think 20 was the right number, simply due to the fact that them other teams that are ahead of them are still winning, Greg. You can't count. Houston's good. Golden State looks great. You know what I mean? Portland's there. Utah looks good. Memphis is up in the rankings this year.
Everyone's not on the win streak. But the biggest problem with that for the Lakers, neither are they.
Well,
and for them to actually go forward, and I really, I'm getting kind of sick of the Lakers, to be honest with you. But right now they are starting. I mean, we're looking at maybe potentially the most disappointing team that has been put together in the last 30 years.
Well, let me do this real quick.
And God forbid they make the playoffs.
They don't make the playoffs. I'm telling you right now, they do not make the playoffs. Let me go ahead right now, this portion of the show, and put the entire league, the entire NBA league on alert. They're about to be shut down. The Miami Heat. We'll get into LeBron's greatness or madness or both combined in just a minute. But now with a healthy Dwayne Wade.
And that's the key.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. With a healthy Dwayne Wade and the rest of the team contributing, and you got LeBron yelling, "Give me the ball." You are in trouble. The Celtics' old legs won't touch them. Indiana may win a game or two.
I'll tell you what, Chris. In order for Miami to win over Indiana, they're going to need a healthy Chris Bosh. Because I'll tell you what, and George Karl said it, if you can't have a superstar, you need quality, competent, athletic people at every position, and you better be deep. And that's exactly what Denver is, 5th in the West, and that's what the Indiana Pacers are, looking around about 3rd in the East, and they're not too far behind, a New York that hasn't really quit anytime soon.
No,
they're gonna have problems with them if they don't have a healthy Chris Bosh.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what,
New York's got to start playing together.
If they have that and Dwayne Wade, because I'll tell you what, the way they ratcheted up that defense in that fourth quarter, I'll tell you what, we talked about the Brooklyn Nets probably about a week ago, and this is probably when LeBron went on his tear. He's shooting 60%, 42 from the 3-point the field goal line. He's hitting 74% of his free throws. What they did to the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn was a blowout. And they've been rolling hard ever since.
They're 7-1 in the division. They've won 8 out of their last 10. But, you bring up let me just say this about LeBron. LeBron, I'm not even going to talk about how good he is. I don't have to. You people see it if you watch him. It's hard not to see. If you follow basketball at all, and you're not a Miami fan, it's hard not to click over and just watch LeBron play. Here's what I got to say about Brooklyn. Lopez is playing good. Johnson's playing good. When is Williams going to start earning that mega contract that he got?
Well,
when's he going to start?
I got to cut you off because I got problems with saying Joe Johnson's playing good. I understand he's a quiet superstar, but to your point, they have over $170 million in the backcourt
alone.
You need leadership. You need pop. You need
to see more of
box
$180 million back there.
You need box office,
and that's why Williams needs to step up his game. He needs to step his game up.
I'll tell you what, that Mad Russian ain't gonna wait around forever now.
No, you'll be gone. Did he pay Williams too much money? That's my question all day to myself. Did he pay Williams too much money? What are we waiting for?
You know what? I don't know if he paid Williams too much money. I'll tell you what. No. For when he got him, for what he got, he paid the appropriate amount. It looks silly now based on the CBA because you have LeBron, Wade, some of the other players that are only getting about $14 million every single year. And that's the structure. That's the structure of the new CBA for the NBA. It used to be dollar for dollar for everything over the salary cap. Now it's $1.25.
Yep.
And when you have that, Kobe Bryant next year is going to make $30 million, untradeable.
Yep.
You look at Carmelo Anthony; he has real high numbers as well. Dwight Howard making $19 million. So those contracts are going to be there. But when you're looking at, did he get paid too much? No, because when he's at his best, he is an elite top 5 point guard.
Yep.
You can argue which position. Maybe it's the lower end. Maybe it's not. But when he was in Utah and he had a good structure, everything was great. And let's also remember, he's going through a new coach. So there is some adjustments. There are some changes that he's going to have to make. But for the most part, he's not pulling his weight from the leadership standpoint. I think he's averaging about 16 and 9, and he needs to be better than that. He has better numbers. He has better capabilities. Earlier he was talking about he was tired because he didn't take enough time off. He needs to be in a position of there because here's the other thing. He's an ambassador, whether he likes to think about it or not. Some people he think that he just comes in and punches the clock, but he's an ambassador for Brooklyn. Like you said, Brook Lopez is playing well. He's playing inspired because he wants it. Yeah. Is he the top? Is he a top 2 center in the league? No. Top 5? Yes. Why? Because we don't really have a whole bunch of centers that don't get hurt every single year. That being said, he needs to be able to put himself in a position where he can help the team bring in more talent. He's not doing that, and neither is Joe Johnson. And if you pay them that money, they have to be more than basketball players.
Backcourt.
They have to be more than basketball players. They got to be ambassadors. They got to be leaders. Yep. They got to inspire the crowd. And you know what? They have a great opportunity to be in the front of everything. Jay-Z's involved. Prokhorov is involved. Beyonce's involved. Larry's involved. I mean, everybody's involved. But you know what? When are they going to show up and say, hey, you know what? This is us. We're here.
I'm with you on that. One last team I want to talk about before we get off the NBA tonight. Well, I flip back and forth with these two teams. I want to talk about with Boston and Indiana. I want to talk about Boston tonight. And here's what I thought about Boston. I'm not going to say the word great. I'm going to use the word well. They are playing well without Rondo. They're winning. What are they? 6 in a row before they finally lost?
They had seven. They had 7 in a row.
7 in a row.
And the problem is they lost
to Charlotte, but coming off a big overtime win, which I'm going to say them old legs were tired.
They lost 6 in a row with Rondo. Rondo goes out. They're sharing the ball more.
Now, don't think for 1 minute they're a better team without Rondo. That is not so.
Well, you know what? I think here's what I'll say about that. I think the team is better for Rondo not being there because other players are doing more and you're sharing the ball more and you're getting more movement. But make no mistake, Rondo's a top 3 guard. The problem is you have KG and Paul Pierce doing more than they need to do.
Paul Pierce
earlier than they really need to. They need to really step up April, May, early June.
But Gregg, it showed last night that they're missing Rondo and his speed and how much he can run and take pressure off the other guys.
One game out of 7.
I know it is, but you've seen how tired they were. They were tired. They lost to the worst team in basketball, Charlotte. Now,
right, but if you're gonna lose a game, is that not the game to lose?
It don't matter. Yeah, it's
right.
fine.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you know what?
And don't get me
talking
wrong,
about their old legs is where it's gonna matter.
And they're trying to make a playoff run, so they need all the wins. But if you have to drop one,
you'd
rather do it to them than Atlanta.
You run into a Miami or an Indiana,
you're going to run out of gas. They're going to get run off the court.
First 3 games may be fine, but after that, you're going to get in a little trouble.
Off the court.
All right, Gregg, let's move on to a little college basketball. And I tell you, we were on the air last week, and we talked about 4 of the top 5 teams losing last week. And just as soon as you shut everything down, we looked at the TV, and number 1 Indiana loses to Illinois. All 5 of the top 10 teams lost last week. Indiana remained number 1, which I'm in disagreement with completely, simply due to the fact that Miami is a tornado of a team right now who's just destroying everybody they play. And we talked about this earlier before the show started. They're 10-0 in the ACC.
Right.
They're the only team in big conference basketball with an undefeated record right now.
Sure.
They should have been number 1. Why they weren't was because they were unranked when the season started, which made it difficult for them to get to number 1.
They have 3 losses, just like Indiana does, and Indiana has 2 more wins against better competition.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now.
I hear what you're saying. I agree with
this
you somewhat.
This team is electric.
And you want to watch them, and I get that.
How electric are they?
They're not as electric as Michigan.
When you get Dwayne Wade and LeBron James sitting down there watching you, that's huge. Them boys are electric. Watch out for Miami.
It's bigger than small. I don't know if it's huge, but I'll tell you what. You think that you'd rather see Miami play than Michigan?
No, I said earlier this year when the season started, Michigan was the best offensive team on the floor right now. I still believe they're the best offensive team in college basketball. But I tell you right now, if you're looking through it, I mean, Florida won tonight, beating Kentucky. Michigan's playing right now against Michigan State, number 8, number 4, folks,
losing
on
by
ESPN.
9.
Yeah, number 4 is losing by 9. Great game to watch. The Big Ten is exciting this year. We talked about it last week. Some of the best teams in college basketball right now are in the Big Ten. And even the bottom half of their teams, top 10 teams, are winning. They're beating the top half in games. So we talked earlier about, is it March yet? Has the tournament already started? I mean, these teams are playing like the tournament's already started, like it's a 1 and we're done. These unranked teams, they're giving these ranked teams, these top 5 teams, all they can handle, and they can't handle it obviously because they're losing to them.
Nope.
So I tell you, college basketball is great right now, folks.
Well, I think what this does is and you'll hear us talk about college basketball throughout the next couple of shows until March Madness. But I think what we're seeing is that there is no team that you could definitively say, hey, you know what? These are the favorite. This team is the favorite to win the championship. And really, it's hard to say, who's going to win the Big Ten, who's going to win the Big East, maybe Syracuse, who's going to win the ACC, probably Duke. I mean, it's really tough to say. SEC, nobody even knows. Maybe Florida, maybe Kentucky. Florida handled Kentucky tonight. They got the last game of the year against Kentucky in Kentucky. That's going to be an issue. Kentucky's still a good team. Nobody wants to run into them when you start getting into March Madness and trying to get pole position, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. But I got to tell you right now, I'm completely shocked and impressed all at the same time by what Indiana's doing. When they were ranked number 1, we couldn't figure out how. This is a squad that's playing together and believes in what each person's going to do. They're playing great. I don't know, Greg, if they're a Final Four team. I don't believe, with the way teams are playing right now, I'm going to go on a limb and say I don't think they are. Florida tonight showed me they're a Final Four team.
Yeah, tonight, but they also showed against Arkansas why they're not.
Well, Arkansas, just for the record, is undefeated at home, and no one wants to go in there and play that Hornets nest.
And they ran to a buzzsaw. I get you, but you know what? They got.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Michigan, I've said all year long.
And they're not playing the stiff competition that the Big Ten teams are playing.
First of all, when we were talking about Indiana, they got that star, Zeller. He's a beast. Cody Zeller.
Yep.
He's averaging right near.
You see that dunk he put on?
He's playing damn near 30 minutes a game. He's averaging somewhere up around 17 points a game. So, I mean, he's a big leader for that team. The whole team's playing like that. I mean, but when you get into the tournament, I tell you right now, if you're a top 10 team, you better come ready to play. Because these mid-majors and these unranked teams that are going to get into the tournament, look what they're doing to you now.
Look at a number 21 Notre Dame in the game that they played against Louisville. Yes, it went to 5 overtime. But you had this guy, Grant, who showed up and hit 12 points in the last 47 seconds. Leader. You had a guy who didn't even play, transfer from Michigan State, senior. He has 17 points, 6 boards in overtime. And that type of contribution, and that's Notre Dame, and they play in the Big East, which is damn good. And that type of stuff, it's like that. You don't want to play. And Louisville's it's a top team.
Absolutely.
Both those teams you don't want to run into just based on how they played their heart and where they get it. And they have people, and it always comes down to this in basketball. You need 1 or 2 stars on the collegiate level. You can do it with 1 star. Danny Manning, Kansas. You can do it with 1 star, Carmelo Anthony, Syracuse, and actually get the job done. But if you really want to be great, you get 2. And a lot of these teams have 2 or 3 people that can really put the ball in the hole, play the team game, buy into the system, be the second or third coach on the floor, and at the end of the day, push their team, leadership-wise, to make great moves.
Absolutely. Well, right now, Greg, I'm going to tell you this right now, and I mean it. Even though they're losing right now, they're ranked in the AP poll, number 4, Michigan, with 21-3. They're still my favorite of all the teams in the top 10 to make the Final Four. I also believe that they're going to win the Big Ten and make the Final Four. And let me tell you why.
It's going to be tough.
This Burt kid is playing lights out. Okay? I mean, this kid...
He may be the best guard in the nation.
He's got Tim Hardaway Jr. He's got Glenn Robinson, Mitch McCray. I mean, that's a phenomenal team. You're talking about guys that are averaging 18, 17, and 13, 14 points a game. These kids are...
They're sharing the ball.
Oh, my God. So there's a squad I'm really impressed with.
Not as much as the Fab Five back in the day, but they're still sharing.
And let me tell you about how good a shape these kids are in. those top 4 kids I just named off are averaging 32 to 35 minutes a game.
Yeah, but you know what? They got young legs, better nutrition. I mean, I don't ever want to hear anybody under the age of 25 talk about, we shouldn't be talking about, oh, they're in great shape. They're supposed to be in great shape. They're paid athletes that are compensated, not as much as they should be, but are compensated for what they do on the court, whether it's through scholarship, opportunity, or otherwise. I think they need to get paid more, but that's another thing for a different situation.
They better get it together tonight.
He agrees.
They better get it together tonight. They're losing with 4 minutes left in the first half, 31-17.
They'll be all right.
And I'll tell you what, Greg, they turn around after this. They play Penn State, which is a win. Illinois, don't take them lightly. Penn State again. Michigan State again. Purdue, and they close their season out with Indiana.
I'm not saying it's not upside down.
Woo!
But you know what? Hey, if you want to get into the tournament, and get a high seed, beat those teams.
You gotta beat them. Hey, right now in the SEC, Florida's got the SEC on lockdown. They really do. I said their last struggle in the SEC. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, when Arkansas comes to Florida, or they meet in the SEC championship or tournament, conference championship, Florida gonna pound them. Florida gonna pound Arkansas. They're gonna pay for that. 2, if Florida rolls into Kentucky the last game of the season and beats them there too, forget it. Florida going to get a number 1 seed in the tournament, and
that may or may not be good.
I don't know. They could roll right to the Sweet 16, right into the Elite 8, and from there, then it's just work. But I'll tell you right now, I'm impressed with the Florida Gators, Prather, the whole crew. I mean, Boynton. They're all playing well, every single one of them. But, so the SEC, I don't see anybody giving Florida any competition. In the ACC, we already said Miami's the dominating team. In the Big East, Syracuse is at the top, and I'm going to tell you right now, they got UConn coming up. Temple always plays well. St. John's, even though they're unranked, I mean, there's a lot of teams in the Big East that it's going to come down to. They better come to play. Georgetown always plays well. Louisville's ranked 12th. So, you got to Syracuse better, Villanova, they better tighten up a little bit. Cincinnati, they got their work cut out for them. They got to run.
And nobody wants to play number 15 Georgetown twice.
Heck no, they don't. So anyways, Greg, we're going to end it on that tonight. Listen, folks. Get into college basketball right now. Usually a lot of people, and I've done it in the past, kind of get to the end of the season a little bit. But let me tell you this. It's tournament time right now. These teams are playing lights out. And don't be afraid to bet on that mid-major. Because I'll tell you now, come tournament time, Gonzaga, Butler, don't be afraid. Unranked teams that make the tournament, look at what they've done this year. Look back who they've beaten.
CU with Shaka Smart. I mean, these are teams that you're going to have to worry about.
It's exciting, folks.
Stevens and Butler. I mean, and they all come from a great coaching tree. So watch out. And you know what? This is going to help your bracket. That's kind of our aim to keep you aware of what's going on and to help your bracket. So we're starting early, but you know what? We're trying to get it and we're trying to push it through.
Remember, look at teams like Arizona, 20-3. They beat Florida earlier this year. Kansas State at 19-4, they beat Florida this year. 2 of Florida's losses. But remember, I'm not down in Florida. I just got done telling you how great I think Florida is. Florida lost them 2 games by a total of 5 points. Them 2 games could have went either direction. And if Florida played them again right now today, they beat them. There's no doubt in my mind. But I'll tell you right now, you got to watch out. Kansas made a rebound the other night after, what did they lose, 3 in a row?
Yeah.
Come back and beat Kansas State.
First time in 7 years that they lost back-to-back games.
In the Big Ten, keep your eye on Wisconsin. Wisconsin's playing great basketball. So there's a lot going on, folks. I said March Madness is here in February, Greg. We're going into February 13th, and they're already playing tournament basketball like they're one and done, like they got no tomorrow. I'm loving it. It's great basketball.
You know, I want to bring up one thing before we end the show. Did you hear this stuff about? And this is for the boxing fans, where Pacquiao is trying to fight Marquez for a 5th time, Is that,
now, I don't like what he did with that. I don't like how he said, I want to fight him in his home country so he don't have to pay the taxes.
Well, I would want to not pay the taxes.
I
if
understand.
I'm giving a lot of money to
I
you.
understand, but I like the promoter. We're going to box in Vegas.
Bob Arum.
Yep, but here's the thing. I disagreed, but I can't.
You didn't hear him talking about Mayweather now.
Well, I did, but listen. Here's what I want to say. When we start talking about Marquez and Mayweather, we're talking about two completely different styles of boxing.
To an extent.
Right.
Mayweather is more defensive, but they're both counterpunchers.
Right, but
which is what
I think that's why Pacquiao struggled with Marquez in all 4 fights. Now, the last fight, he was dominating him until he got caught.
Right, but
Till
everybody
he
said
got
that
caught.
everybody said that third fight that Marquez won, but you know what? It's just the way boxing is in this fix. There's no commissioner.
I'm not going to sit here and say nothing bad about Mayweather by any means.
You
But
can't.
until he beats Pacquiao.
Why does he have to beat Pacquiao? Pacquiao got beat by a Marquez.
Even talk. I can't
You
even
can't.
talk, folks,
No,
without raising
you
my
can't.
voice around here.
You can't.
All I'm saying is, until he beats him, I'm not going to sit here and say Mayweather could dominate Pacquiao. He beat him up. He do this and that. It's two different things.
Marquez he couldn't get by Marquez twice. He couldn't get by Marquez twice.
He's going to come back and fight him, and we'll see what happens.
If he gets beat again,
he beat him 3 times. Marquez finally beat him. How many times do you got to fight somebody before they finally beat you?
The reason why they're fighting for a 5th time is because everybody knows the 3rd time it should have been Marquez. Pacquiao knows it. That's his only payday. He has to go through Arum to get it, which is why he's never going to fight Mayweather because he's not built for Mayweather. Styles make fights. Mayweather is the ultimate counterpuncher, and he doesn't get hit. Everybody talks about Pacquiao and how fast he is. He ain't that fast no more.
You know, when you're into, first of all, folks, in case you don't notice it, Gregg's a Mayweather fan. When you're into reporting the news, when you're into
maybe a little
to
bit.
doing talk radio and things like that, you have to learn to become unbiased on things. And Gregg loves Mayweather. And I can't wait till Pacquiao knocks him down.
He gives
so we can
literal lesson every time he's in the ring.
I can't wait till Pacquiao knocks him down so we can hear Gregg's excuse on why it happened. Because just as much as he's biased, he has excuses.
He's undefeated.
I'm just saying it hasn't happened. So as much as you can stand here and say Mayweather will beat up Pacquiao, I can stand here and say Pacquiao knocked Mayweather down.
Pacquiao lost like 4 times, man. Pacquiao is going to have a problem with Mayweather's speed. And I'll tell you what.
I'm not saying he's not.
To your credit, because that's a very good point. If he beats Marquez, if he knocks him out, avenges the loss, even with the win that everybody said was a loss, he'll be 3-2, really 4-1. But he'll be 3-2. It'll be convincing, and people are going to start clamoring for this fight again.
Well, one last note we forgot to bring up for you MMA fans. Anderson Silva is getting ready to renew a contract with the UFC if he hasn't already done it yet.
And understand those contracts. They're basically like paid contracts.
Yes. And so this contract that Dana White put together for him reads, in his new contract, he will have to fight George St. Pierre and John Jones, which means weight class moves here and there. I think he can beat St. Pierre. I don't think it'll be an easy fight, but I think he can beat him. John Jones, I don't know if he can beat him. Now, I'm going to say this. Vitor Belfort, John Jones said himself, I thought he broke my arm. I thought the fight was over.
Yeah, and it looked bad.
But with that in mind, for that kid to take that kind of pain and come back, get out of that submission hold, and turn around after that and dominate that fight the way he did, I don't know if anybody can beat John Jones.
His arm looked like a braided pretzel during that fight.
I don't know if anybody. John Jones, for those of you who don't know it, is a New York State wrestling champion. He is a state champion. So if you think you're going to go get that long-legged, long-armed dude down so he don't hit you, he's going to beat you down on the mat too. So.
And the problem is he's better on his feet with his hands.
Oh, my God. So, for you MMA fans, that's the contract going on right now with Anderson Silva, who's been the champion for how long? And nobody can beat him. He hasn't even really been challenged for that matter.
But you know what? But at the same time, against Anderson Silva, you have to understand that with John Jones, while he's primarily a striker in the MMA space that everyone's looking at, you know, his wrestling ability is, you know, bar none, you know, top of the line. But that jiu-jitsu, the Muay Thai that Anderson Silva has, his pinpoint accuracy. I mean,
how's he going to get Jones as tall as he is in that damn move so he can do that to him? You aren't going to do that to Jones.
Well, a lot of people have said you can't do that to X, Y, and Z with Silva in the driver's seat. And guess what? I mean, he turned everybody on their head. And right now, he is the most, you know, an interesting question would be, who's the most dangerous fighter? I think maybe a year ago I would say Silva, but I say right now it's probably John Jones. But we're talking about 1 and 1A. We're not talking about 1 and 2.
You say that, but you know who's real dangerous and super, super electric to watch right now? Is Henderson. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but he's losing some steam. I think in terms of electricity. I mean, really, you go down to featherweight, you're talking about Jose Aldo. But for the weight class you're talking about, I would kind of put St. Pierre above him. Now we haven't seen him for a little bit. He's had
since he beat up Koscheck last night.
Yeah, I think he has some rib injuries, and he had another injury that might have been a shoulder that, don't quote me on that, that he's getting back from. But you know, he's back. He has a fight coming up in the next month or so. So he's going to get back on the trail. But though, I mean, don't get me wrong. Also understand, it's Chael Sonnen. You know,
yep.
He had a crack at Jones, and you know that's good.
Let's rephrase that. He is going to step in the cage with Jones. He don't have a crack at Jones. He ain't going to do squat jack nothing to Jones.
You saw what
he's going to take a beating. Is what he's going to do.
He did to Anderson Silva.
You know what the worst thing that can happen for Sonnen?
He did to Anderson Silva.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the worst thing that can happen for Sonnen is he don't get knocked out right away because he's going to take a beating. He's going to take a pounding by Jones. And he's talking stupid.
He might. Well, I don't know if he's talking stupid. I know what he is good at is promoting the sport.
Yep.
Promoting the fight. He has a slick tongue, and he's able to get in front of people with an honest, like I'm a hustler, but you better believe me type mentality, and push things through. So he's good for the sport. Is he the best fighter? No. Can he promote a fight more than anybody else? Because a lot of these guys aren't. They save their electricity and their energy for the actual octagon. He's up there with a guy that you want to either watch get his butt beat or beat someone's butt, and that's his attraction, not necessarily his skill set, which is very high, but I don't believe it's as high as in Anderson Silva, a John Jones.
Well, folks, we're going to continue from time to time as things go on to touch on MMA. Also, for you NASCAR fans, we'll have a little news starting next week and build on it each week. We won't get a lot into NASCAR, but we will give you the highlights, what's going on, who's where, and what races to look forward to. Also, folks, we brought up to you last week, Gregg has put together the LarryandGregg.com website.
Group effort.
Please go to it. Check it out at LarryandGregg.com. It's kept up every week on things we're going to talk about on the show. You can read in depth what we're going to talk about. Also, there's a comment section in there. You put your email in it, put a comment in it. We will not release your email, but we just want your comments on the show, or even if you got a question on any topic that you see on the page that we're going to talk about, we'd be glad to answer it for you. So please go to LarryandGregg.com and check us out. Folks, like I said a minute ago, my name's Larry B. I'm always sitting here every Thursday night with Gregg. We had to come to you on a Tuesday night this week. Family matters, things going on, life gets in the way. Next week, we'll be at you on a Wednesday evening, and we'll be back on track on Thursday. So from Larry B., Gregg, we want to say thank you for joining us. Have a great evening. We're done.
Thanks.